Now it's E3 season. I know there's a lot to talk about, but also a good game came out. Ratchet Clank Rift Apart is out. I played it, got a lot to say about it. So thanks for coming around. You could have clicked on anyone else to talk about this. The game ranks before you buy, I did put that video up if you want to see more technical talk and breaking down everything about it. Here, what I like to do is just talk about the stuff I love, and it's tricky narrowing it down with Ratchet Clank just because I love the game. It's awesome. For a very specific reason, first and foremost, I know a lot of people are excited about the graphics, the technology, just the PlayStation 5-ness of it. But what excites me the most is just that it's just a good old-fashioned video game fun time. I know there are so many people out there. I see you guys in my comments and stuff like, they don't make games like they used to. Well, here's one. I don't necessarily think it's the best Ratchet & Clank game, but I do think it has some of the best Ratchet & Clank moments by far. There's just so much to it in terms of just big video game action set pieces, to just the way it's completely structured and how it's fairly linear and really emphasizes fun factor over padding it out with a bunch of useless BS I don't want to do. Everything is engaging. Everything is really, really well paced and solidly entertaining that I just couldn't put it down until I finished it. And then when I did, I immediately jumped right back into New Game Plus mode, or Ratchet & Clank games call it challenge mode. No spoilers or anything, but some of the big moments that you've seen in the trailer or like the first reveal of the game, jumping between rifts, a giant robot moment, those moments in particular are some of the best video game moments I've experienced in a while. It's up there with like the train scene from Uncharted 2 or falling out of an airplane in Uncharted 3. Just those moments that you kind of always think about and you go back and revisit. I have a lot of them, not all tied specifically to PlayStation properties or anything like that, but Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart really kind of upped the ante here, and just kind of experiencing all of that was so good. I think just really worth the price of admission, aside from the fact that it's also just a good old Ratchet & Clank game. It plays like a Ratchet & Clank game, pretty much what you'd expect from the shooting, the crazy weapons and stuff like that. Humor and spice-wise, but I still find them incredibly entertaining and really funny, and Dr. Nefarious is one of my favorite characters, and he gets a lot of really good moments in this game. But anyway, gameplay wise, yeah. So I think what's best about this one is just the full tool set of movement and everything. You have so much going on, from kind of like a fling shot, a grappling hook, a jump, a double jump, your typical glide. You have like a phase dodge to get even further if you're doing platforming. You have hover boots, which the way they're implemented in this Ratchet & Clank specifically are so much fun because you could boost forward, you can cruise around in like semi-open little areas to do side objectives. You can do little jumps and spins, and also when you start integrating that into the battles and just some of the big moments, it makes it that much more fun. Nothing's more fun than like zipping around an arena, zipping around a big enemy on your jet boots, doing a little jumpy flip, and then doing a shotgun blast, and then pulling yourself with a rift, and then suddenly ending up somewhere else. When it's all firing on all cylinders, it's insane. That and the big set piece moments where you're doing stuff while all this crazy stuff is going on screen, but it's not a quick time event. It's not just like press X to see something happen. You're doing all of the stuff, and when it's really taking advantage of all those tool sets where you're wall running, and then you're grappling hooking, and then you're gliding, and then you're grinding, which I love the grinding stuff. I think every type of game like this, like when Ratchet & Clank first pioneered it, it was so amazing, and I'm glad they stuck with it. But just like when all of that stuff is happening at once, it's just like, holy shit, this is a well-crafted, polished, fun game. And it also looks really good. I mean, there's already been so many people talking about the breakneck pace at the way the game moves, from you jumping between dimensions, which obviously is just incredible, thanks to just fast speeds and everything the PlayStation 5 has going on and more modern gaming technology, but also just the level of detail and the level of creativity is so well done. There are moments where you walk into like little towny areas or like an alien bar, and there's so many different weird, colorful things to stop and look at, that are all animated this way, and like with the ray tracing and with the high frame rates. It's a lot to process. There are parts of the game that are like visual overload almost, and you're like, what is happening? But it's worth it. It's really good. And I think some of the reason I've seen people really excited too is the excitement of it feeling next gen. A lot of tweets, a lot of comments I've seen have been a lot of you guys or other people just being like, wow, it feels like we're finally like into a new thing. And I'm glad people really feel that way. that's an exciting feeling, and I'm not going to deny that from people. Like, obviously, playing on PC, we've experienced SSDs and, like, virtually disappeared loading times for a while now, but with the way Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart kind of integrates it all and works it into the flow, it does feel unique. And I think for a lot of people, you know, it's the first time you're experiencing something like that, especially if you're, you know, if you don't even have a PlayStation 5, which I know a lot of people don't. It's still a pain in the ass to get your hands on one if you want one. Watching it and just seeing this stuff unfold without really feeling it with a controller, you could still go, oh, wow, that's crazy. So I think that if you're waiting and you're trying to get your hands on a PlayStation 5, when you do finally get to play the game, it's pretty crazy. It's weird to play something and the main gameplay loop and the flow of doing the sideway jumps and flips and shooting at enemies with crazy guns. Like, been doing that since 2002. That's when the first Ratchet & Clank game came out. I've been playing since the first one. Like, you're still doing that, but it manages to feel new. It manages to feel like we're moving towards crazier game experiences. Of course, bigger, crazy budgets and high expensive production values definitely help with that, all that Sony money. But again, to reiterate, my thing really is where, like, I just like that it doesn't like to shoehorn in modern gameplay elements. I said this in the Before You Buy a little bit, but like the big open world that's like padded and filled with stuff to keep you busy. It has a couple of little like Uncharted Lost Legacy type areas where you can scoot around, and the game rewards exploration really, really well, especially considering the exploration is slight. It's really just going off the beaten path here and there, or kind of going to the other ends of like the little tiny map open area. It does it in a way that is satisfying, not really wasting your time, and rewarding to the overall experience, especially when the side objectives give you a little bit of story or a little bit of dialogue. It's the type of thing where it feels like it all makes sense to the plot and what's going on with these characters. And another thing I want to reiterate that I only touched upon in the other video is the fact that they introduced Rivet, another character, you know, kind of like the counterpart to Ratchet, who we've been playing as forever, and she doesn't suck. She doesn't annoy me. You know, it's very good. Like, you don't find yourself being like, oh, when can we get back to playing as Ratchet? They did a really good job of making her interesting, making her feel similar, but also introducing some other characters that are like multi-dimension versions of your favorite Ratchet and Clank characters, in a way that does two things. There are some moments with some characters with the multiverse versions of them that's really funny, like with like Rusty Pete. But then you have other moments like with Clank's counterpart, and then just really Ratchet and Clank and the Lombaxes and all of this stuff that just give you these moments, gushy, like heartwarming moments. There's a lot of character moments in this game, more than anything, which was interesting. I didn't really expect that, but there's a lot of time spent in this game with two characters in a spaceship just talking to each other and working things out. And I really like the way they handled it. It made it interesting. So really it leads me to like, what's next? Where can they go from here? Also, there's a couple of things that like I can't spoil. Some reviews have spoiled some certain weapons and Easter eggs and throwbacks that are pretty, like really, really well done. But I don't really want to spoil them here. I want you to experience it yourself. Honestly, I want you to experience a lot of it yourself if you can, especially because it feels kind of cool with the DualSense and the whole thing. But I digress. There's a lot going on right now with E3 and all the news dropping, but like, don't let this game get lost in the shuffle. I don't think it will, like in the whole gaming news cycle and how brutal and ongoing it is. Don't forget Rift Apart. It's definitely not like a humble little indie game that will get brushed aside, but I just wanted to take a minute and talk about what I love about it and the best things about it and what really works. So if you had fun talking with me here, listening to me ramble and stuff, I definitely want to know what you think about the game, whether you played it or watched it. Definitely let me know. Again, it has a couple little shortcomings I didn't really have time to get to in this video. I just wanted to talk about what I love. But I definitely want to hear from you guys, everything you think about Rift Apart at all. And if you had fun with me, clicking the like button is all you got to do. It legit helps me out. Thank you guys. But I'm Jake Baldino. Consider subscribing as well, just because I put out a video here and there. I'm not going to spam you. You know, put the notification bell on. I only put out videos like once or twice a week. But thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Subscribe because video games. Pizza's on me.